live from the sold out Golden One Arena. No, I'm just kidding. All right, we're doing it. Where do
Hello.
we? Hello.
So I was thinking how we always come in with a topic, but the best conversations, especially the ones that you and I have, are always like spontaneous.
Very spontaneous. Yeah.
So I think I want to do this more often, but let's cheers to an intentional, meaningful, present, connective conversation. See where we go.
Can barely hear it. But we did cheers right there. All right. For those of you that don't believe us, we did.
Cheers.
Well, what were we discussing earlier about what I guess would be like relationship dynamics?
Yeah, so I was thinking a lot about how when we first started dating, for me, it was like the only relationship I've ever had where I knew like this is serious.
Yeah.
But on paper, if I were, and this is something to talk about, if I was to tell my friends or like my family, like a lot of the stuff that was really going on with us,
The details.
people would have been like, that's not healthy. And I told my therapist, and she said, that's not healthy.
Yeah, this is gonna
This
blow up
is
in your
never
face.
going to work out.
Yeah.
And that's
I still
why.
resent that person.
But I think that's
In all reality, she had several good points.
I think everybody would have said that, and that's why I learned that it's actually important to not divulge personal information about your relationship to your friends, because they're going to get a skewed version.
Yeah, it's gonna taint their perspective
And I knew I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And
Yeah.
even though there were many things where if I told this story or if I told what happened last weekend, people would have been like, that's bad.
Yeah.
You guys aren't going to work out.
Yeah.
I had something that made me feel very confident no matter what was happening on paper. And I kind of want to dive deep into that of like what was working with us and how did we both know that like this is healthy long term, even if maybe we are dealing with some personal things that
At this moment in
seem
time.
yeah, exactly.
That's a loaded question. It's tough. I mean, because yeah, I mean, obviously, I'll agree. At the time, it was more so me initially off the bat, but I mean,
Well, I wasn't
neither of us were in a good headspace.
I wasn't
for sure.
happy with myself the way I am today, but I think I have always had like shame ruling where I never want to look bad in front of other people. So
Yeah.
I'll self-destruct, but I probably won't show it. That's why I did deal with like binge eating secretly and those type of behaviors privately,
Yeah.
because I would not let it be seen. So you didn't really see me super destructive or anything. But I wasn't really in a good place, which then did lead to certain arguments between us or certain dynamics between us very early on that
Yeah.
I was a part of.
Yeah, and I think a lot of my problems were very publicly known.
Yeah, you
Like-
had like no shame. You'll like let everybody see how mad you are, let everybody see how upset you are.
Yeah.
I've never had that.
No, and I mean, at that time, a lot of things on paper were going very well for my life, but just internally, I've never, I don't want to go too deep into like my personal whatever, but like there was a part of me that didn't feel deserving of, even at that time, even prior to you, like the life that I had. I was doing very well on paper, but I never felt like I was, like I earned it, I deserved it. And so it was just a lot of like mental confusion and like unhappiness and like just not being able to process the positive things that were coming my way. And unfortunately, I was one of those people that was very like public about it. Like it just, I don't want to go into detail, but there were definitely substances involved, and I just, yeah, it was a mess.
Self-medicating because like you're
A
not
lot.
happy with yourself. But I think
Yeah.
I think it's like it's not like too personal to say
No, I'm not
because
gonna
I
like give
think
detailed stories,
no, but
but
I think everybody understands when you are 21 years old, which is how old you were when I met you.
yeah.
That's the worst time of your life.
Oh, it's terrible. Yeah.
You are so
You're
lost
confused.
and
Yeah.
confused, and you are because you've like had a couple years where you're like, I'm getting out of this miserable situation of my parents' house.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make my own way,
Yeah.
and then you find out like I'm having a hard time making my own way, and
Yeah.
like you're not old enough to like have
You're
this
not
the
old enough.
family and like that type
Yeah.
of joy of like a loving family. You're really just on your own trying to take over the world, but you really personally I like hadn't learned to like myself at all.
Yeah. I mean, I think both of us definitely struggle with that. And that's a big factor. Like, everyone says it, but you can't love anybody else till you love yourself first. There was definitely a lot of that was going on for sure. I think on both sides of the fence. But yeah, it was just, I mean, for anybody, obviously, it was a confusing age, and life does, like, you're not equipped to handle the responsibilities that come with moving towards, a more positive, self-reliant, successful life. Like at 21 years old, you can be handed the world, and you're gonna self-destruct. Everybody sees it happen, obviously, with like a lot of celebrities because they're in
Mm-hmm.
the spotlight, but everyone knows someone who struggled with that, who was given a lot when they didn't have the mental capacity to deal with it. And that's kind of the stage that we both were at. We both handled it differently, but the same in some
Well,
ways.
I think a little differently because actually that stage for me was a lot when I was younger. Because I was
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
23 when I met you. You were about to turn 22.
Yeah.
And I had just started to get out of that. I had like 4 years straight of really bad, where if you met me at that time, you would have been repulsed. I repulsed like every guy I ever met just because I was like, I was in just that very unattractive energy, like where
Yeah. I get
the way I moved through the world was very unattractive. I
that.
was super insecure, but also then like acting out in ways that were embarrassing to try to
Yeah.
get certain attention.
Yeah.
But I actually, that's why like you were the first relationship I ever had where it was like this could be something, because I knew I was stepping into that stage where I was ready for that. The like
Yeah.
timeline, obviously when you're younger, you don't realize like how young 23 is, but the timeline that I had set up was like when I'm in high school, it's like I want to get engaged at my college graduation at 22,
Yeah.
have kids at 23. And so the fact that I was 23 and I was like, oh, I still feel like a kid and
Yeah.
I really want this, but I know that I was never in a place that would have sustained any type of healthy relationship all those years
Yeah.
before. But I had just started to get out of that, where I had graduated college, I had gotten my teaching credential, I got a teaching job, I had my career,
Yeah.
and I was starting to realize that all the friends I was surrounding myself with, it was like only for the bars.
That definitely some overlap on that one. I mean, that's I was in the same exact spot, so that didn't help either. That was another factor. You surround yourself with people that enable your poor behaviors and your poor choices. And Lux is scratching at the door. He's fine. But I think, honestly, I don't really know. I've never been able to like pinpoint exactly what it was that, because there were definitely a lot of moments where there was conversations, obviously, that this is not going well, whatever. But like deep down, I always knew like this is not, like, this relationship is going to keep going. Like,
Yeah.
I think like behind the mask of everything that was going on, I did see the vision, like the long term vision of like what I want out of this. I have the career, I have the house, I have this, I have that, all these things that I like, inside of you have like these steps. I got all this stuff. Now I want the serious relationship and all that. But it happened at a time where I was, in a very self destructive mindset. But like I always knew, even like no matter how bad it got, it was like there was just a unique connection that I never felt with anybody else. Or it was like I can be honest with this person and openly shoot myself in the foot, basically, and like publicly work through my issues. And like it's this relationship is not gonna end because like this is just a stage. Like
Yeah.
I was never able to tell myself that, but I like subconsciously knew like this is not me forever. I'm
Well,
not gonna be this guy
I
forever.
saw like different things where that's why I never was worried that like this is going to break us up and ever like any one situation. I never
Yeah.
like we did have something where right when I met you, I knew we were not ever going to break up, but I did have moments in the very beginning where I was worried like is this going to be toxic? Because like I don't want to be in a toxic relationship, but
Yeah.
the difference was
I think everybody's in a toxic relationship at that age, honestly, one
but
way or another.
but the difference was that I saw that like you were an individual who was going through something and growing out of it. And I
Yeah.
really saw that. And yes, it did affect me occasionally, but it was not a character flaw where you ever like took your unhappiness out on me or made things my fault. Or because I
Yeah.
think a lot of times people, especially young like that, they see these type of character flaws and they think like, oh, he'll change or he'll grow out of it. And that's something I almost did what people would say never to do, where you see the potential and you don't want to do that. Like that's
Yeah.
bad advice. Everyone would say like don't date the potential,
Yeah,
but
of
to me
course.
it wasn't like your potential. It was genuinely like the way you treated me current like in that moment, in those times from the second we met, the way you treated me was amazing. The conversations we had was amazing. The connection and like everything felt
But
amazing and
I
like a
enjoyed
dream.
self-destructing.
And then
I didn't enjoy it,
I
but I
would
was like, I
I would watch things that would go on, or I would show up at your house and you'd be like smoking cigarettes and I'd be like, "Oh, like
oh, we do that
on
now,
paper, I would
huh?
never date someone who is smoking cigarettes."
Yeah.
Like certain things like that, but I did let those type of things go, which I don't know if that's any advice I would ever give. And I knew my friends would not give that type of advice to me, which is why I chose
I
not
don't
to
think
tell
anyone in good
anyone.
consciousness would just say, "Yeah, stick it out. Yeah, they'll get better."
They'll
No one would
quit.
say that. I would tell anybody that asked me, like, "No, that is a terrible decision. You
Yeah.
need to get the fuck away from that immediately." But I don't. It was just a weird like subconscious thing where I don't know. Like I said, I've never been able to like pinpoint exactly. Like, there's never like been like, but this one thing is what kept me around. It was just like subconsciously, I knew that this is this is where it's at. And a big factor for, like we were discussing a little bit earlier, big factor for all of that is being able to recognize and participate in growth as a relationship moves on, whether it's any kind of maturity to be able to now you can have these conversations, whereas 6 months ago you didn't want to. All you wanted to talk about was just really surface level boring stuff. We're going to make changes, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and able to like use that in a way to grow up out of whatever like bad headspace you're in that's causing essentially a self-destructive lifestyle at that point. um, And yeah, I think a lot of it is just we've always had a constant, like steady amount of growth in all aspects of life. And that was one thing I think that gave me like hope and promise that this is going to work out is we've never been stagnant. Like we've never been bored in our relationship. Like there's always we're trying new things, we're experiencing this, we're growing in this direction, we're doing this now, and it's been constant. Like, you want to delve into something new. And maybe at first, I don't know, like, but yeah, try it out, let me know. And then we have these conversations, and now I want to join you in that next step, and we keep doing that. And I mean, we're night and day from where we were from day one, but I think that's a that's something to definitely pay attention to in any relationship. Is if there's a any kind, it doesn't matter if it's a drug fueled stagnant lifestyle, or if it's a just we do the same thing year after year after year, nothing grows, nothing
Or if
changes, we
it's
don't have conversations.
like a laziness of like fast food and video
Yeah, and
games,
you're
or
just settling there.
but it like that's maybe, I'm sure like college guys go through that stage.
Yeah.
But you have to notice, like, as you maybe want to change your lifestyle a little bit, how
Yeah,
do they respond? Do
exactly.
they say, don't care, I'm sticking to me?
Yeah.
Are they even slightly curious with what you're doing? Because obviously we've never both been on the same page, but every time I've wanted to do something new, or you've changed your opinion, or like anything like that, I've always like seen like the curiosity at least,
Yeah.
and then you jump on board. Like, I just think you have to notice if you were still in the same place and not
Yeah.
moving forward, like,
Yeah.
that's not a match.
No, of course not. And it's like the analogy I've given to other people before. It's like, if you're going to be in a positive relationship that's beneficial to both you, you guys are tied at the hip, or whatever goofy terms people would use. You're in a good relationship. You have a great dynamic. You're not going to always be on the same page, but you have to look at life like you're walking up a set of stairs. Like, you're the left foot, I'm the right foot. You don't hop upstairs. That's just not how it works. But, you put the right foot in front of the left, and the left follows, and vice versa. And if your relationship is going that way, then it's like, yeah, that makes sense. But if you're stretching your right leg 4 steps ahead, and that left leg is just staying there, you ain't going anywhere. You're gonna do the splits right there, and you're gonna fall down, and you're just gonna it just that's like the simple way that I look at any kind of relationship at all. It could be a work relationship, like a coworker. It could be a friend. It could be your siblings. Could be your parents.
But that's why you do grow apart from a lot of people.
Yeah,
And so I think about, like, how do you grow up together through all these stages? Because to me, what I think it is how we're always having conversations about long term
that's a big factor
future,
for sure.
and we're really on the same page. And a lot of times, even I'll say something and you'll say, no, I'm not, that's not me, I'm not doing that, I'm never going to be me. And then the more I talk about it and the more excited I am about it, and the more I am living in a way that makes
Yeah,
it make sense,
that's my ego talking at that point.
you end up getting on board
That's
with
like a
it. That's
classic
happened
male
with
ego. Like, that's stupid. I'm not doing that. And then I see it working out for you. I'm like, actually, that's not a bad idea. All
so
right,
then I
let me
think
try it
the
out.
way to grow together and not leave someone behind or be left behind is by becoming the person who would have that,
Yeah,
and showing through the way you live. I think the
yeah. You
problem
lead
a
by
lot of
example. Yeah,
women get is where they want their husband to like get on board with me on this health stuff. But all they do is talk about it. It's this, it's that, you're going to die or you're going to get this disease.
it's like, shut
And
up, Cheryl, and do it.
it feels naggy,
It
and
does. Yeah, for sure.
and it feels mothering
Yeah,
to, and nobody likes that energy. But instead, how about you do it for yourself?
exactly.
Start feeling how amazing you feel. Start then, because you feel so amazing, you're like more active, you're more beautiful, you're like
Yeah, you
you're
start to
more
recognize the change. And
attractive.
you're, oh wow, okay, that's actually a better idea. I like this.
People will notice, especially the person you live with and are closest to. They're going to be like, "Oh, I kind of want to like she's doing something right.
Yeah,
And then they're gonna get interested.
100%. And I definitely think conversations are a huge factor with that. Like, cause it works the same way if like if you're one of those people that you know have this thought, okay, I want to try this different. I want to approach this like I want to start out this different healthy eating habits or whatever. But you don't have that conversation with your significant other, and you start doing it, but then you just like look down on them, like, oh, you're disgusting, you're gross. It's like you gotta have that conversation. You can't just like do it and expect everyone to yes sir, yes ma'am, and just follow in line. You gotta have the conversation. So I definitely think it's like what kills any relationship or what makes it thrive is communication. Everybody knows that. If you deny that, you're an idiot and you're wrong. Communication, constant communication, no matter what, the simplest things or the most important things, communication is absolutely important and key for continuing to grow. So like when we have these conversations where we're constantly talking about the future, we're taking steps to work towards what goals we're setting in place, what we envision for, any number of things. Not only are we taking the steps, we're having the conversations, and that's what I think we've always done, even in like the darkest beginning stages when especially me, but neither of us were really doing very well. We were still having the conversations of like we want to do this, and it just took kind of pulling yourself up from your bootstraps and okay, I need to do this. And then just like we talked about last time, just do it. Just committing to it. And I think many people I've heard people that I barely talked to mention this before. It's like communication. If you're not communicating with a significant other, you're stagnant. You're
Well, I
not going
think it
anywhere.
looks like these are like the signs where I've seen from other people where they don't have good communication. If you're like talking to your friends about your partner
Yeah,
and they've not had the conversation themselves,
yeah,
that's a problem. I
yeah,
think that's a sign that like something's wrong. Why would that not be the first person that you're like, I don't know,
yeah.
there's something with you and I where I've never been afraid to tell you
That I'm an idiot.
things I
Yes,
don't like. And I'm like,
yes.
I just don't see.
I know.
And I
It's
try to not.
frustrating when you hear it because your ego is like, what the hell, man? But 99.999% of the time, you are correct about whatever it is.
Well, and that's the other
And
thing with like lifestyle changes. People will feel really attacked. What I've done that has worked, and I don't know if you like that I do this, but it has worked, is I always try to basically pitch the vision where it's like, this is what you're doing right now. These are your actions today. You're
yeah,
smoking this thing and you're eating this thing and you're drinking this thing.
yeah.
The vision you and I talked about last night in 10 years, does it make sense
Yeah,
for
does
you
it
to
make sense to be
be
doing this right now?
consuming those things
Yeah,
while we have that vision that we talked about?
exactly.
And like I always just tell you, like, it doesn't make sense to me. Does it make sense to you for you to be doing those things
Yeah,
and have that life? Because to me, it's a mismatch. And I don't
100%.
think
Yeah.
if you keep those actions up, it's going to lead to that vision we talked
And
about.
I'm not immune to this. It sucks when someone tells you that. It's like, okay, well, that was very rude. Get out of my face. You're making me mad now. I'm going to go think about this. And then you think about it and you're like, damn it, she does have a good point. Yeah, you're right. And then I just think
I try to not be like I told, or someone that's like telling you what to
you
do.
can't be demeaning about it.
But I think people do have a bit of a problem where they hold things in and get pent up and then vent
Yeah,
to their friends. But then the partner, like their husband or wife, they don't really understand that it's a problem. And
yeah,
I always tell you, like, you can do whatever you want. I am telling you, I'm here. I've known that you do these things forever, and I'm here. It's like not a
yeah,
big deal, but I'm telling you for what we want in the future, I'm trying to make this make sense, and I'm not seeing it.
yeah.
So, like, you have to help
It's
me.
just honesty and communication
Yeah.
instead of like you said, yeah, holding it in and not saying anything, and then getting on the phone with someone and venting about it. I just wish he would stop. Well, then say something.
Yeah.
If you want something to change, you got to say something.
And don't say it like stop doing that. It's so
No,
gross when you
you
like
can't. You
out
can't
of
be.
nowhere.
Yeah, you can't be that person. That person. It just comes down to simple conversations. You and me talked about we want this. What you're doing right now, the way you're behaving, the way I don't care if it's your sleep schedule, whatever it is, it doesn't line up with what you told me
Yeah, I
that you
have
want. How
said it
does that
about
make any
your
sense?
sleep schedule.
My sleep schedule is a disaster.
But when it's about work, I don't say anything. But I have said to you, like, straight away,
Yeah.
when you stayed up late, like, one day, I'm like,
Yeah.
it's
What
not,
are you doing?
doesn't make sense. Why would you do that? And then
Yeah.
sometimes you do get mad at me. But I'm just not afraid of that because I know, like, the love that we have,
Yeah.
that I don't need to be afraid to say the
No.
truth.
No. And you shouldn't be.
That's important.
No, it's very important. And I don't know. I think a lot of issues, and I'm sure some idiot is going to comment somewhere. You're not a relationship expert. You're not a therapist.
Anecdotal, personal
I am a
experience.
human being, all right? Giving my honest opinion. If you don't like what I'm saying, turn it off and go fuck yourself. I don't care. I think a lot of main issues that people have with their relationships is a lack of communication. Or at bare minimum, the way they communicate things to their significant other.
Do you have examples or details?
Well, I'm not going to put people's names out there, but
No, but I'm saying because, I mean,
every
that's a
every
blanket thing to say communication. So what's your
communicate.
example?
So the I'm gonna try to think how to say this. So many people have conversations with their significant other, right? You're having dinner or whatever that you do all the time. You're driving down the road. You have conversations. Oh, one day I want to go here. I want to do this, and you both agree on it. And then you don't see this or that I got this career I want to pursue or whatever it is. I'm gonna make this happen. But then you see them doing something that with their time that they're supposed to be spending, or they told you they were going to be spending working on furthering their career or taking this step or taking this chance, and they're doing just nonsensical bullshit, hanging out with their friends, just doing the exact opposite of what they said they're going to do. And instead of confronting that like you normally would, they do exactly what you already said. They're calling their friends, they're calling their family, they're calling whoever it is, and they're venting about this person and their problems, but they never end up telling the actual person they're talking about what they're thinking. And their relationship goes nowhere, and it's just this perpetual cycle of like, well, they said they're going to do this and this hasn't happened yet, and it's just like a constant just
Well,
around and
when
around and
I
around.
when I see that, there's no, so like that's one of my
But then you remain
biggest.
unhappy for years and
It's one
years
of
and years
my
and
biggest pet peeves, and I've told you this. If you lie to yourself,
yeah.
there's nothing more unattractive and disappointing. I can't sit around and enable and watch that. If
Of
you
course,
tell
yeah.
me you're going to do something and I'm watching you day to day do the opposite of what would take you there, I'm going to say something right away, and then I'm going to tell you this
Yeah.
is embarrassing to me.
Yeah.
I can't live with someone that is this pathetic.
Yeah.
Like
It really is.
I can't deal. Like that's something that really bothers me. And so I think having that type of, I guess, confidence in yourself to know, like, if this person's lying to themselves, they're also lying to me. And I can't
Yes.
stand for that. Like, I don't
Yeah.
want to, there's no way to build a life with someone that is
Exactly.
not going to do what they say
That's
they're
what I
going to
mean.
do.
You end up staying stagnant.
It's a trust issue when that
Big time.
happens.
Yeah.
Because they don't do what they say they're going to do.
Yeah. Pretty much. And I think another form of communication that is not helpful is like the nagging type of
Yeah.
like there's no
No grace. I always try to be more
that.
compassionate.
And also, like, if you don't like something that I'm doing, or I don't like something that you're doing that doesn't line up with whatever we talked about, you have to make it make sense. Like, you gotta, just like how, especially with a lot of the substance abuse, a lot of a lot of those problems, you would explain it in a way that made sense. Like, you wouldn't just come in and be like, "Quit doing that."
Yeah.
Then the instant reaction for anybody with any amount of an ego is going to be like, "No, shut up, dude. I'm going to do what I want to do."
Mm-hmm.
But if you're like, "Hey, I love you. I care about you. We talked about this. Why are you still doing X, Y, and Z?" we've had this discussion before.
Well, and I always like
But I think it
I try
drives a
to
wedge
say,
between people if you are one of those nagging type of people of
yeah,
just
yeah,
like,
for sure.
stop doing that. If you even remotely say, hey, we talked about this. Give me a good reason why this hasn't been
Well,
resolved or whatever it
I
is.
think sometimes whenever I'm not like when I'm emotional, like if I feel like mad right away, I don't always do this right. But I think what I try to do and the best way is to like process your own emotions, like go out on a walk, write in your journal before you
Yeah.
go to the person, and then I try to say, you told me. And I try to like
Yeah.
repeat like what you told me. And
Yes.
so then when I see this behavior, it feels like you're lying to yourself, and that feels like you're lying to me
Yeah.
because you told me this is what you were working towards and this is where you were headed and this is the action you took last night and it's not lining up.
Yeah.
And like saying that right away next day or within the couple of days without being straight in the moment emotional
Yeah,
is
I
always
mean,
better.
that's tough for anybody. I mean, everybody, it's a go to. You react on emotion. Something, makes you mad. You want to say something right away. I've definitely delved into that with, I mean, not you, but like, especially, anybody gets pissed off at work. Anyone gets pissed off at a friend. And I've definitely fallen for that one before. That's also something that I think a lot, I mean, even just friendships with people, they fall apart because of that. Um, I don't know. Like I said, I think a lot of any issues, big or small, it comes down to a lack of communication or just the style of communication is not there. And that was one thing that, I mean, it's never been perfect, but overall, I think that's been a big, like, positive point for our relationship is there's always been that ability to, like, check emotions, not just spaz because this frustrated me. I lose my mind. I'm just like, you said this and then this happened. Being able to reel that back in, stay calm, and then communicate in a way that's not demeaning, that's not, you're not calling anybody out, you're not being disrespectful. It's just, you said that you were going to close the refrigerator door and you didn't close it, and now all the meat is, thawed out and it's a bloody mess in there. Being able to communicate that in a way where it's just like, you stupid idiot, you left it open, you said it, like, anybody's going to go on defense there.
Well,
And then that you just end up in a spot where if you do it's over and over and over again like that, then you lose respect for the other person and you start caring less about making any positive changes or anything. 'Cause it's like at that point you're just trying to please a boss or a superior.
mm-hmm.
You're just like, well, yeah, I guess my wife wants me to do this now. She's been nagging at me for it forever. It just,
That's such a not good dynamic
no, it's a
to get
terrible
in.
dynamic.
It's not, yeah,
Yeah.
such a wedge between,
Yeah.
yeah, not fun, not cute, not close. The best relationship advice I heard a couple years ago that I still think about and something now I spot with other people is they said like some study that like 97% of couples that show contempt towards each other in public, they'll end in divorce or breakup. And so
Yeah, that's
that's
a
like when you're noticing, normally it is, actually it can go either way, when like your husband or wife or girlfriend or boyfriend is talking and the other one is like rolling their eyes or
yeah,
basically
yeah.
showing to the group that you don't have each other's back,
Yeah.
and like you will put the person closest to you down to make yourself look better.
Yeah.
That's like peak immature college behavior, high school behavior.
Yeah.
There's no room for that in a long-term healthy
Yeah.
happy
No,
marriage.
absolutely not. Yeah, that's an insane thing. Anytime I witness that, that's like a
I have
Jesus
seen it a
Christ,
lot
dude. You
more
guys are
than,
not doing well, man. That's
but a lot of people have it and they think, oh, I'm just like poking fun, or and it's just totally, it's not poking
no.
fun or
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about that. Like even like simple things of just like correcting them in public, like over the littlest things. Like I mean, if there's like a major deal where it's like you're clearly openly lying about something, it's like, hey, what are you doing? Why are you
Mm-hmm.
doing that? But like over like the littlest things, like, oh yeah, so today we were walking in the street and we saw three ducks. Actually, it was two. Why? What? No one cares if there was three, two, or 17.
Yeah.
Your significant other was trying to tell a story and you just butted in. Like when I see things like that, I'm like, that's kind of off-putting. I don't know what's going on there. But another thing that we discussed was like the I guess not living. Well, I mean, it's kind of the same, but not really. But it's like when clearly you guys are on two different pages and
You have different like values.
like vastly different values, and you're not even open to have that conversation because your answer to everything is like, oh, we'll figure it out when we get there,
Oh
or we'll
yeah.
cross that road when we get there. That's also a foolish game to play, in my opinion.
I
In my
think that's a
opinion.
red flag because the truth is they know what they want and they're just kind of stringing you along,
Yeah.
and then
Milk
you're
that cow all the way
wasting
to the
your
grave.
time because they're not
Yeah.
going. So basically the biggest one is like if one of you wants kids and the other's like, oh, we'll talk about it in a few, let's just see when we get there.
Yeah.
That's not something you
No,
should
that's
wait around
nuts.
because the truth is they probably don't, and then they're just gonna like wait. You're gonna be like, oh, they might change their mind, or oh, they're
Yeah.
once we get in our 30s. That's not something I would recommend
Yeah, things like
settling
that
or
is
waiting for.
a lot of people end up in that trap, and that's a
Or even like where you want to live, like living in a city or living out on land. Like those are major
yeah,
things.
big things like that. I mean, they affect your life like massively.
Hmm.
And if you guys can't decide, like it's just polar opposites. I don't know. Like I understand not agreeing on everything because just like anybody, we've been in that spot of just like, yeah, I have this opinion, you have this opinion, but we're constantly having those conversations, having those like bringing that topic back up, and it might take a year, it might take 2 years, and finally now we're on like an even playing field. Now we've like I saw your point of view, you saw mine. We learned some things along the way, and now when it comes to I mean it's a stupid topic to bring up, but like your political views, all of a sudden now we have learned a lot and we had the conversations, and now we're on the same page. It's like okay, now we both understand. But if you're just like just living like yeah, they want to move to Florida and I want to stay here in Alaska. It's like and you're just fine with that?
Yeah.
So what? You're gonna live in Alaska and your wife's gonna just hate you, or vice versa. Like you gotta have that conversation and figure. Okay, so you want this, I want this. What are we gonna do about this?
Yeah.
And people just don't, and they end up just living in that spot where it's just, yeah. I mean, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. No, you can't do that.
Yeah. No, I'm always thinking every step
That's
we're
when your
taking.
relationship just blows up in your face.
I wake up every single day knowing and thinking in my own head and writing in my journal about like how is every action I take today leading me to where I see myself in 5 years,
Yeah,
whatever, however many years I want to think about.
yeah.
And every single day you're moving towards that.
You have to.
If you're not doing that, you are falling stagnant and you're going to wake up one day and be just completely fed up and unhappy with your life.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to happen snap overnight. Oh, I'm moving. Finally, he agreed.
No, no. You
You
got
have
it.
to be like taking the steps and going where you want to
Absolutely.
go.
Yeah.
I
What
think
else?
a relationship thing that hit me the other day from personal experience. I obviously know with everything, like even with us, I said I think, made it through when certain things people would say don't date the potential, but you don't know the full story. So obviously, I don't know everybody's full story.
Of
I know
course.
there's millions of couples where they have this and it's amazing and great. But from personal experience, I had a thought the other day that like the very first relationship you ever get into is like your baby blanket. And it's like your safety net, and you're
Okay.
like basically it's something you need to grow out of. It's not
Yeah.
going to, so if like you've only ever dated one person, I don't think you need, like, I'm not at all of the camp of people today where they're dating like so many people seriously and
Yeah.
thinking like I need to seriously date. Like, I've only ever had like technically one baby relationship before you,
Yeah.
but that's because in between those two, I was so unattractive energetically that like get I couldn't have any other experiences. I had so much going on with myself.
Yeah.
But I think people that stick with the very first relationship, I think long term it creates many problems because you're kind of stunted in your growth.
In a way. Yeah.
Because I just know that I was so unhappy as a teenager, so unhappy. I hate my parents. That whole nine with that.
Yeah.
Then you get
Classic.
your first relationship and you think like, I'm
This is
saved.
it.
I'm saved.
Yeah.
Someone actually cares about me in the world, and you
Yeah.
just like get obsessed with that.
Uh huh.
But then losing that again as an adult, and then finding your own way as an adult, and really building your life on your
Taking risks. Yeah.
on your own by yourself, knowing like if nobody cares about me, I'm still improving. I'm still
Yeah.
going somewhere. And then I think you have to kind of go through that in my personal experience just because I know how much that helped me. I would have not
Yeah.
been in a good place to create what we've created if I didn't have that. If
Yeah.
I didn't have those 3-4 years before I
Didn't
met you,
grow
where I
out.
was so sad that I was the only single one and nobody liked me.
Yeah.
If I didn't have that, I would have probably kept up with so many toxic behaviors because I never would have seen that like this is not okay. Nobody wants to be around this because you have that one person that's always
Yeah.
going to enable your bad behaviors and always going to stick
Of
with you
course.
even if you're acting a fool, even if you're not doing
Yeah.
what you said you were going to do. That person's never left you, never no one's ever like you get that like ego
Yeah.
where you're like, "Well, I have this person."
Yeah. Yeah.
And
You always have that fallback. Yeah.
yeah, I think that stunts your growth.
100%. Yeah. No, I mean, obviously, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but I obviously had a similar thing. I didn't have 12 girlfriends or anything like that. But yeah, I had the one, everything felt safe and cool, but I'm a dude. I have a little bit more of a ego. So it was easier to kind of step away from that. But there are a lot of people that get hung up on that, that reality of this is the first person who ever selflessly cared about me, quote unquote cared about me. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I don't know. I don't know your relationship. But I obviously been there. I've been in that mindset where like everybody else to me, my parents, my siblings, my rest of my family, they all only care about me out of obligation. And I do believe there is some element of truth there, but do I my parents I do believe my parents love me, right? But like there is part of you, especially when you're developing your adult mindset and you're moving around the world, you do start these people only care about me because they have to. This person genuinely went out of their way. They don't have to, but they do. And you get hung up on that, and especially as a dude, like you get that ego of like you want to like keep like milking that cow. Like you just want to because it just you're addicted to it. And I don't know. This is just my opinion. I'm not saying that every person who stayed with their high school sweetheart or whatever your relationship sucks and it's going to fall apart. I'm not saying that. To each their own. It's your life. Do with it as you may. But just from my own personal experience, I'm glad that I did not have that experience. I didn't ride that wave all the way out because I do think that the longer you stay with that, it it just kind of it keeps you from the reality and the happiness beyond this stage. You're just holding yourself back from that. And I just
That's the
to me
way
it's very simple, but to each their own, of
that's
course.
the way I see it. Yeah, based on personal experience, but I also am not of the mindset that like once you do have something that you've built with someone that's great and mutual,
Yeah.
like I think you need to really water and continue to nourish that. I know now there's like a new phase these days where it's like people are getting divorced because they think like, oh, I can get all these other
Oh
people.
yeah, they fall for those dating shows. They think that as soon as they leave the house, it's going to be Love Island all
Yeah,
over the
there's
place.
just
Yeah,
hot guys over there.
they're just
Well,
ready for me.
yeah, I do
A
think you need
55-year-old divorced woman with 4 kids. Yeah, this.
I think well, this is something I do believe. You can you can build and create and live a completely different life at any moment, at any stage. The second
You
you're
do whatever you want.
unhappy
Yeah,
with your life, you can right now start stepping towards a new one.
yeah,
That doesn't necessarily mean you have to divorce or break up. That just
yeah.
means you need to start changing
You
your
need to start
life
making
and
changes.
then
Yeah,
see if your partner does step behind you, like what has always happened with us.
yeah.
But obviously, if you become a completely different person and the other person doesn't do anything, then all of a sudden now you're living
But
different
that's
lives.
also when it comes down to communication. You
Yes.
got to be able to communicate that. And I'm not saying to a crazy extent where like giving ultimatums and like if you don't fix this by this date. I mean, yeah, if you have a heroin addiction, yeah, that's probably something you should give an ultimatum to. But like something like that, if you want to start making change, I haven't been very happy in our relationship, and I think we need to take steps to do this and blah blah blah. You got to communicate that stuff, but just dropping a bombshell on your significant other one day of just like, what, I've been unhappy for a long time. You've been the same loser forever. I'm out of here. Yeah, now you're wrong for doing
Yeah,
that.
that's
That's a foolish thing to do.
yeah.
I mean, if there's obviously there are definitely dynamics that makes perfect sense. If you're in a domestic abuse kind of situation, yeah, there's no need to go try to explain stuff. Get the hell out of that.
Hmm.
If you're getting a toaster thrown at your head every morning, get out of that. Don't sit there and try to communicate. That's nuts. Don't you shouldn't have to put up with that. But in most normal relationships, just communication. That's what it comes down to. And once again, I don't know everybody's relationship. I just know mine, and I know what I've experienced and little signs that I see from other people's relationships that you know it might work out, but I can see this is what they're lacking, or this is what I would, if I was a professional, I would recommend this. But I'm not, so I just shut up and I hop on a podcast and share my opinions.
I think you always have to just feel intuitively, which was why I was not fit to have a relationship before I met you, because I had no connection. I was disassociated from my body, not at all able to be intuitive or
Yeah,
connect with myself. So if you're in that place, I don't think you're fit to be in a relationship,
yeah,
and that's a self journey.
for sure.
But once you are, you have to always ask yourself, does this make sense? And I think
Yeah,
even when things would go wrong for us when we were dating, and I would be like, this kind of, if I told my friends this sounds bad. But I
yeah,
had to ask myself, like, does it make sense for us? Like, the way he's treating me, the way I feel when I'm around him,
yeah,
the things we do together, does it make sense? Like, does it work? You have
yeah,
to, is this working, or does it feel like we're just butting? Every step we try to take, we're just butting heads.
yeah.
Like, to me, it always felt like this is naturally
It's naturally
right,
progressing
and
as
it
well,
is
and
working.
there are steps that are being taken. There are advancements, and I mean, nothing is ever perfect. Like there's always going to be like if you're never going to reach that plateau. If you do, it's a false plateau. But I think, yeah, as long as you're just constantly moving forward and having those conversations, and yeah, being intuitive about like what you're getting out of this, and I mean, like you said in the beginning, like just not involving other people in your relationships. That's obviously a big one. Um, and yeah, like I'm not qualified to go and tell any one of my friends or family members or anything what I think about their relationships. Everyone, you do what you want to do. Um, but I just know for myself, like based on what I've experienced, what we've seen, what we've been through together, these are my thoughts on relationships. And I think what they say, the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
that I've seen that communication is one of the biggest factors
Well,
that will either make or break any relationship.
but I've also learned what I think is right now. If you do see someone you care about in a relationship that you don't agree with, my new thing is actually don't tell them.
Of course not.
People will probably say, that's bad advice, that's a bad friend. I actually believe don't tell them because they're
No,
going to do what they're going to
that's
do.
not my problem.
And you don't want them to, like, they're going to basically choose their partner over you. I don't
Of
care who you are. I
course.
don't care if it's your mom or.
Of
And
course.
so my new thing is no matter what it is, how bad it is, just be like, what do you think? What do you want to do? And if they're like, I'm staying, then just say, okay,
All right, good for you.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then if they're like 10 years later, this is horrible, I think I need to leave, then just be like, okay,
All right, well, do what you got to do.
okay.
Man.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's always okay.
Don't
It's
be
fine.
that person. I told you so.
Yeah.
I this. I saw this coming from a long way. No, it's not my relationship. I'm not going to step in and tell you what I think you need to do. It's your decision. It's your life to live. It's not up to me to. My opinion, honestly, doesn't matter.
Well, and what you know what I think it is basically telling your friend or your family member that I don't think you're capable of making your own life choices.
Yeah.
I think I can live your life better than you can.
Yeah, that's it.
And that's like
There is a part of that where, like, when
crazy.
someone does go out of their way to tell you that, they disagree with this relationship or anything, honestly, it almost like feels like, so you're calling me stupid.
Mm-hmm.
So you're telling me that I don't have, I have an inability to make conscious, positive decisions. You think I'm so stupid that you need to take time out of your day to come tell me what I need to do to fix my life.
It's never going to work. Same way, like
No.
a parent telling their teenage kid how to live life. It's never going to work. Or
No.
telling their early 20s adult child. Never going to work. They're going to do what they're going to
No,
do.
exactly.
And you have to just be kind and loving and say, okay,
Yeah.
and do what you need to do. If like they're constantly wasting your time complaining about it, you could say like, hey, I don't really have time for this conversation with love, but I want to like go spend my day. Like you have to just create those boundaries for yourself if it's like they're constantly complaining to you.
If it's constant like that, I mean, my response eventually would just be, what do you want me to say?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, because I'm not going to tell you what to do with your life. It's your life to live. So if you need someone to vent to, find someone else.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
What-
After a
Other
few
than
times,
that, I have
I'm not available for
my
it.
opinion doesn't matter here.
Yeah.
So I am just, to be clear to anybody listening, I'm just sharing my thoughts based on the relationship that we've had for the last several years.
Yeah, if someone's like, well, this happened to me and it goes against what you said, like, say that, fine. And I could say, like, if
Oh, yeah.
I've also heard or seen that in my life or not, I'll be like, oh, never
Yeah.
seen that before.
Yeah.
All right.
Everybody's free to live their own life. Don't take this the wrong way. Simple as that. You got to cover your ass when you get random patrons listening. I'm not telling anybody what to
You're
do.
calling them random?
I don't know who they are.
Do you listen to any podcasts where they talk about, like, their relationships and what's working and not working?
Not like exclusively. I'm sure like
But did
on a
things come
podcast
up?
I've listened to.
Have you ever heard something on that topic?
Not really. I don't know. I surprisingly I do get kind of bored with like, I don't know. I can't listen to like someone talk about like that topic and like give examples and stuff for like hours. I don't know. So I haven't like delved into that, but I'm sure I've heard something at some point. I haven't like gone out of my way to.
Have you heard, like, relationship advice that you disagree with?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, and to be clear, most of it has probably come from like, someone who has either had several failed relationships. That's usually where most of the stupid advice comes from. Everyone knows that. That's where the dumbest advice comes from. someone who's been divorced 3 times is like, never let your wife do this. It's like, oh yeah, champ, huh? Because that shit really worked out for you, huh?
Never take advice from someone who's not done the thing that you want to do.
That and or from someone who is not living the life that you want for yourself.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, I'm trying to think of a good because I've heard several stupid things before. Um, but I mean, there's a lot of even like relationship. What do they call those? Like the couples therapists and stuff like that. That I've heard stories before of them like encouraging crazy things that I'd be like, yeah, that's a bad idea. You know, like people that I don't know, they have had issues in their relationship where like they're not like I don't know, this is a wild one. But like they haven't been attracted to each other for several years and like a therapist will encourage them to like basically sleep around with someone else. Like crazy stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, we did that and then yeah, we separated about a year after that. Oh shit, dude. Like I mean,
Wow.
I've heard stories like that. I don't personally know anyone that's done that, but I've definitely heard stories about that. It's like I don't know. I wasn't there. I can't verify if that was even real or not, but I've definitely heard just really poor advice stuff that was like, bro, why did anyone listen to that advice? That's crazy.
Yeah, I question like therapists now. Obviously, I could talk about
Yeah.
this on another one, but I did have a therapist for like 3 years and it helped me personally so much. But in this
Yeah.
stage of life, I question them a lot because of what I just said. Don't take advice from someone who's not living the type of life or doing the type of thing that you want to do. With a
Yeah.
therapist, you literally know nothing about them. Why am I just going to trust you point blank because you have a
Yeah.
degree?
And there's a lot of
I
people
don't
that would
trust that.
argue with that and have something to say. And I don't know. I'm not against therapy. You know, once again, to each their own. Do whatever you want to do with your life. One type of therapy that I do like kind of have issue with sometimes is, which is gonna sound crazy, seeing as we just sat here for the last however long talking about relationships, is like any kind of like couples therapy or anything like that. It's like you're not a part of this. Like you're basing whatever you're telling me, whatever advice you're giving me, based on what I told you and what she told you, and you're piecing it together and you're throwing something out there that based on what you've seen before from other couples or from this book you read or whatever. And I'm not saying that you're not going to help anybody ever, but it's the same things. I know nothing about you. I don't know what your relationships have been like. Have your relationships been successful? Why would I, you know?
Well,
But I'm not telling you if
I
you need
actually
that, go do
think
that.
it's not against therapy or anything. It's
It's not.
about ever asking anyone for advice at
Yeah.
all. That's actually something like serious, even couples or not. Like,
That's why I don't want anyone to take
I
anything
don't
I'm saying
think
as like I'm telling
actually
you what you need to do.
you should never. I honestly believe there's no advice I could go seek from another human being about my life. I need to go inwards. I need to
Yeah.
meditate, go on walks in nature, journal, and then choose what I need to do with my life. And then when it's couples, you need to do that also individually and then come together like and say we need to sit down like what we do and have an
Yeah.
intentional connective conversation and have no distractions and just reconnect within yourselves. I don't really see a place for outside advice
Yeah.
unless if they might be able to drop a nugget that gives you a idea that then
Yeah.
sparks something, and that's just
I
anyone you could hear that and get that spark of inspiration to help
yeah,
give you an
just
idea anywhere.
just like anything. I mean, my mind could always change on this, so I don't want to like stay exclusively. This is my point of view, but advice is everywhere. You can go to anyone and you can either ask for it or you can hop on social media and the videos are gonna be right in your face, or your grandma can call you and just give it to you. It's everywhere, and I think it's up to you to decide whether or not you want to apply that to your own experience or not.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I kind of don't like is going out of your way to like seek advice from like, but once again, I don't disagree. If you genuinely are lost and you don't know, it's not the worst thing in the world to like seek out someone who's experienced something like this. So I'm not
But
against
I would just
advice.
not put like everything in their hands. Like, just
Yeah,
go
that's
with
what
an open mind, and like what we did with the psychic. Go with an
yeah,
open mind and be
yeah,
like, let's see if we get any sparks of inspiration, or if we hear anything that gives us any
yeah.
ideas or sounds cool. But if we hear nothing helpful, who cares? We'll
Yeah,
just go
and
home.
taking advice and using it for your own benefit, there's nothing wrong with that. I think where I disagree is like going to an exclusive person, you dump all your thoughts and feelings and your experiences on them.
And you expect them to fix it.
Let them piece the puzzle together and tell you what you need to do to move forward. That like you're not taking any responsibility, you're not taking any charge yourself. You're just dumping all your problems on another human being's plate, paying them X amount of dollars, and then they solve the puzzle for you. You got to look inside and start to be reflective of what you're experiencing, what you have experienced, what your thought process is like. And yeah, if you want to talk to another person about it, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with going, hey, man, I'm dealing with this right now. I know you've dealt with something similar. What do you think? And then decide whether or not you want to take that and run with it. But I do think it's crazy to like, well, my therapist told me I need to do this, so I'm going to be trying this out. It's like, is that even something you want to do?
Yeah,
Why are
that's
you doing just because another
important.
human that is qualified, quote unquote?
Well, that's because they're placing them on a pedestal that they are
Exactly.
more qualified than me
You're
about my own
taking
life.
exactly, and that I disagree with that because you're taking any amount of thought or ability or responsibility from yourself out of the equation. So that's my thoughts on it. I don't disagree with it. I don't hate it. I would never tell anyone not to do it because I know it helps a lot of people out. But you just got to be able to take the reins in your own life at least to some aspect. Um, you can't put all of your decision making and piecing together the puzzle that is everybody's life on another human entirely. It's not a bad thing to have a conversation, but it's a whole different thing to expect someone else to solve your problems.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Someone's going to take that and
You
take
can't.
me out of
You
context.
can't worry.
I'm not worried
In
about nothing.
context, out of context, people can get upset about anything.
Yeah, and you're free to do
That's
that.
your own.
I
Yeah.
will sleep peacefully tonight.
Yeah. I stand by
And I hope you do as well.
my conversation with you is what it is.
Yes.
We're good. And anytime I hear conversations from people I don't even know, or even if I do know them,
Yeah.
I always, take it or leave it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it sparks like, oh, I want to be nothing like that. And that's good too.
And that's fine too. Doesn't mean they're a bad person. Doesn't
Yeah.
mean I'm better than anybody. It's just I heard something else that I don't personally agree with. To each their own.
Well, cheers to, what do you think sums up this for us?
Cheers to communication. I'm just kidding.
Communication. That's
Top tier. I can't think. I'm drawing a blank right now.
cheers to long-term best relationship.
Relationship building. Yeah. Oh no, this is the part that I suck at. I could have the whole conversation and can't think of a topic.
Could you ever do a toast like in front of people, like at a wedding?
Yeah, I have those ones kind of prepared ahead of time. But it depends on who it is. I don't think anyone in their right mind would ask me to give a toast because they know it's going to be something stupid. But yeah, I could do it under the right circumstances. If the price was right, I would do it.
People could hire you.
You could hire me to give it to. I'll act like your best friend, dude. Go up there. Hey, I knew Nate back in sixth
That's
grade.
a movie.
He was,
What movie is that? Wedding
Oh.
Crashers?
Is that what it is?
I don't know.
I can't remember. Hey, pay someone to be your best man. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. I think there's been a few movies like that.
Several. But yeah. I can't think of a.
Cheers to building the healthiest relationship, because your relationship with yourself and with your life partner is the most important relationship to build.
That was long.
Cheers.
Cheers.